Hey, it's Tyler, TJ Survival. We are out survival fishing today, and we haven't got any major plans for this. We're just gonna kind of wing it and make a few things, try a few things, and see what works out. So stay tuned. So I want to try out a spear, okay? There's one of the things I want to try out is a spear. I got a prototype from Kyle who owns Emberlet, and I don't know if they're making these yet, but we're going to try this spear out. One thing I want to show you about this real quick is its setup on all this stuff. So the reason he designed it this way is because this spear will penetrate the animal or the fish, and then these two, as the fish come in, it kind of compresses it. So anyway, the act of that compression is basically what holds it. A lot of the Inuit and Tlingit and Eskimo Indians make a similar shaped spear for this to catch salmon and stuff. So that's why they have the design. And then he's got his little logo right here. And this is the right diameter for 550 cord. So, and I think we're going to either grab some 550 cord or use some natural material to throw that on the tip of a spear. But I'm going to turn that over to Jason and let him play with that.
All right. Alright, we're going to collect some long shafts of willow to use as long arrows and spears for our survival fishing.
Okay, so how do you identify willow?
Willow has a nice long sword-like leaf. There's lots of different kinds of it. Growing right here side by side, we've got a couple different kinds. So you can see the length of leaves. Sometimes the leaves can get up to almost a foot in length, 10 inches to a foot in length. But willow likes to follow water. It is a fairly soft, fast-growing wood. You can use it for a ton of survival uses. The bark is also really high in, the cambium layer just below the bark is really high in salicylic acid. So you can use that for headaches. For those of you who don't know what salicylic acid is, it's aspirin. So they actually harvest the aspirin that you get off of the shelf is harvested from white willow. So, yeah, there you go. Anyway, we're going to be collecting a couple shafts here to use as long arrows and spears so we can get some fish. There we go. And now you'll see there's some irregularity in it. We're going to just go ahead and limb this off really fast. And we'll actually go just above that joint right there. So that gives us, not quite 6 feet, but we'll pretend. We'll go right there. All right, and now you see some of these irregularities on it. One of the nice things about working with green willow is you can kind of straighten that a little bit. So we can go like this, and it won't break the wood. Now, if we had a little more time, we could fire harden that after we shaped it. We could harden it over a fire and it'd hold that shape. It works very, very well. It's a good method. I've used it a lot.
Do you do that with or without the bark?
You can do it either way. It depends on how big of a hurry you're in and what kind of flexibility you want. If you leave the bark intact, especially if you're doing, say, a survival bow, if you leave the bark intact on the side that you're going to be flexing, so like on the back of your bow, then it acts as a backing. And so if you leave it adhered to your bow, it actually strengthens it. It strengthens your resilience on your bow. But for this, we'll just, you know, like here we've got a little bit of a bend, so we'll just, you know, stretch.
Give a little pressure and
just put a little pressure and straighten it over. You can do it on your knee. You can do it on a rock. But you just go through and just kind of straighten that out. We're not looking for perfection in this case. We're hungry, so we're trying to get some food.
Straight-ish.
Straight-ish.
Once we got food later and we have time, then we can warm it and straighten it and harden it.
You can see just doing that, it's made it.
See that guy for a second.
Made it a lot straighter.
Just a little bow in the middle is all.
Yeah, and that's fixed fairly easily. Okay, so, and then if we had time to fire harden it, we'd keep it that way. Get it stay that way.
All right.
That's the one advantage to leaving the bark on, is it does give you a little bit more pliability in the long run. I know a lot of people say to go ahead and peel all the bark off, but you know, each their own.
Where'd you find it?
I just found it in the river.
Nice. So a lot of people give me flack for using lures that you can find in the river, but I think it's one of the very best things that you can do, because if you're in an area that's ever been fished before, there's lures somewhere. You just got to find them. The more fished the area is, the more probability you can find lures. So like for urban survival fishing, this is a great way to come up with some fish.
We got some nice tall dogbane here. We're gonna look for some older stuff down around the base. We got an older one right here. You can take that. We're gonna use this to get cordage. We'd use dogbane. We've got some nettle over there. We could use that. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this. It's really quick, and you can crush it. So this one's a little bit thick, but you crush it along the length. It usually splits into four or five sections. Then we'll go over there and we'll twist this up to make some cordage. But you can see even where this was broken during the winter, how tough that is. It still has lots of fibers, and if you look, if we can separate this out here really quick, you can see there's a lot of these really nice thick ropey fibers. We're gonna twist this together, make some twine really quick to hook that spear on. If we get it wet, then it helps those fibers to hold together. It softens them up, keeps the fibers from breaking as you separate it, and then you just work this along through like this. You're getting some of the woody parts out and keeping a lot of the nice fibers that you want for making your twine. So you can see that if you look really close, if I separate this out just a little bit, you can see these really fine long fibers. That's what we're trying to loosen up there. And it's like fishing line. We could actually use this as fishing line if we wanted to.
So what are we going to make the fibers for?
We're making the fibers so we can twist them together to make some twine, so we can hook them to that fishing spear.
All right. Couple different ways to make fibers. This is kind of the field expedient quick way. I got these wet so that I can actually grip a hold of them. They're kind of flat like this. I haven't removed the cambium layer or all that extra stuff, but I'll still do this real quick to show you. So I'm just going to twist this whole thing up so that it's not a sheet but a little twist here. Now to start this out, I'm just going to twist these two until they start turning themselves. Okay, so I'm just twisting that one side. You can see how it starts to wrap itself up, and that's how you start this. So once I've got that, now all I'm gonna do is twist this away, twist this away, and then twist this towards. So away, towards, away, towards. Now, if you're gonna do it this way without rolling it down your leg, rolling down the leg is a lot faster, but this way will get you started. And as you can see, let me get this puppy to focus. As you can see, that's how you're gonna start to make your rope. Once you've got enough of this, you can use this rope to lash your spear to the top of the spearhead. Yes, it's better to bring 550 cord, but if you don't have it, this is just kind of a cool technique that we're going to show you to do this in the field.
So we're going to go ahead and prep the end of this. Always try to use the heavy end because it'll give you more weight. So
you want your weight in the front. The problem is if you don't have a heavy end, you throw your stick and it goes like this.
Yep.
So you put your heavy end and then it throws heavy crutches. So basically your heavy end is the bottom end that it grew up from. And there's a bunch of different ways that you can attach these. I like to split it out and then strap it tight. So all I'm really going to do is just clean this tip up and just split it right out. Since it's willow, it splits pretty smoothly. So once it's split, then you can slide that down inside of it. If you put a little bit of notches around the outside of it, and basically what I do is just remove the bark, then it kind of gives you a groove for your cord to sit, so that when you throw it in the water and pull it out, it won't slide off with the spear. And then there's the split. So our spear tip will go right inside there, and then we'll tie it tight right across there.
So then what we're going to do is we're going to go around here. I did find that on these holes, you probably want to hit them with a little file or run through a rock.
Yeah, this is a prototype, so this is a very brand new, freshly cut device. The final stuff will be tumbled, I'm assuming, and that way it won't cut your cordage on accident.
Obviously, the best way to do this is to make a lot more cordage, because we're kind of in trying to get this done as quickly as we can here. We're going to just go ahead and do this with just a couple bindings. But then we just knotted it up on the other side. We're going to trim off some of those excess. So we have a nice clean shaft here.
I know someone's going to ask me, so tell me about that knife real quick.
Okay, this knife it's a trade knife I got from a Mountain Man Rendezvous over in Pinedale, Wyoming. It's modeled after, it's the exact same dimensions, weight, and everything as the knife that was used by the Lewis and Clark expedition, right down to a replica of the original blacksmith mark here. It's got that nice blister effect on there, but it's just a nice little trade knife, super thin. For the crafts and things that I do, it's perfect. So,
why would you want a thin knife?
I like thin knives for doing all kinds of crafts, and when I say thin, I mean it's pretty thin, but this is what I've used for bushcraft for a long time, is a nice thin knife so that I could get in there, do some of those fine crafts a little bit easier. It's a little bit more difficult for me with the thick knife. I'm not used to using the thicker blades, so I'm kind of old school that way.
All right, let's go stab us some fish. So the final assessment on this guy, it worked good. It pinned the carp, but we bent it a bunch of times. So because again, this is a prototype that we're just kind of testing, if I get this to focus here, and it would spear into the carp, but then the carp were just so big and nasty, we ended up bending it. So I'm gonna wrap up the video. These guys are gonna stay longer. Hopefully they'll get a fish. If they get a fish, they can send me some footage. And if not, just understand that's the reality of survival fishing. You keep going until you get a fish, or you try to employ your tactics in another way. Go make traps or do whatever you're gonna do. And then if you have a device failure, like this stick's kind of bendy and we lost our string, you know, put some more string on it. We stole this from a yo-yo trap, or upgrade your device for each time that you go hunting to be more successful in the future. You guys got anything?
Yeah, sounds good. That's the reality. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't.
All right, guys. Well, if this has been valuable to you, please hit the subscribe button, and thank you for watching TJX Survival. Hopefully these guys can stay a little longer and get some fish, and if they do, I'll drop the footage on the back end of this. All right, guys. Thanks for watching.